Welcome to the Dog Nerd Show, where we geek out over our best friends. I'm Megan.
And I'm Michael, and this is a show about all things dog.
Hey, everybody. We're getting real nerdy today. We actually have an episode on the 2021 Golden Retriever Owners Report, courtesy of goldenhearts.co, which is Jake, the human, and Oliver, the Golden Retriever's blog. So before we get started, if you're enjoying the show, we would love if you'd subscribe to our channel. That would be pretty awesome. And what else can they do, Mike?
Well, once they get to that area where it says subscribe, they get this free bell. You can hit that bell. It rings and lets you know every time we have a new video pop up. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And if you like these shows, go ahead and click the like button now, even though we haven't gotten into the episode, because we really appreciate it and it helps us get more visibility. So we would really appreciate that.
And we'd also like any comments that you have below. Please put those down there. We try to answer all of them.
We don't try. We do. I take a page out of the Yoda handbook.
Okay.
Do or do not. There is no try.
So evidently we answer all of them.
Me, I do.
Yes. So anyway, please, it helps us out, keeps the channel going, and let all your friends know, or maybe you stumbled across this and you're like, hey, I got a friend that would really dig this show. So just tell them about it. Because
if you don't know, we're not just dog nerds, but we're trying to change the world for dogs. So we're trying to help people make better decisions about getting a dog in the first place. And then once they have a dog, things that can help have an enriching life and hopefully a long life. So we really aim to do everything to make the world a better place for dogs. So let's talk real quick about the Golden Retriever Owners Report. Basically, Jake decided he wanted to survey Golden Retriever parents because you go on social media and you get 900 answers for what's your best vacuum cleaner for a Golden Retriever parent. And he covers that in this owner's report. So again, you can find that at goldenhearts.co, and we'll link to it in the notes.
So without further ado, let's meet up with Jake.
All right. We are here with Jake from goldenhearts.co. And while we've done our Golden Retriever episode, Jake, I think we've never met before, but I think it's safe to say you might be a Golden Retriever nerd. Is that pretty accurate?
Absolutely.
When did that start?
So growing up, my sister was allergic to dogs, so we weren't able to have dogs, and I always wanted one. And there was these two Golden Retrievers in our neighborhood, and I would see them walk by. Their like bushy tails were waving in the air, their heads were bopping, and they were smiling. And I was like, when I get older, I'm definitely having one of those. Then my wife and I got married. She loves dogs. She had to have a dog. It was like a premarital agreement. We're having a dog as soon as we get married.
That's important, that could be a deal breaker for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, it would be.
So we got Oliver, and he's been actually like, I had really high expectations for Golden Retriever, and he's blown them out of the water.
Wow.
He's awesome. So
and I love your hat there. You got it tilted down, so that's so
Thank
cute.
You.
That is cool.
I think it's Sunny is a Golden Retriever. I think is Sunny is a Golden.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Yep.
Yeah. So this is I saw it and I was like, all right, I got to get it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, a Golden Retriever nerd has to have that hat, right?
Yes, exactly.
So you did a survey just to Golden Retriever owners or parents, or the correct term that we like to use. Tell us why you wanted to do this. Obviously you have a blog, so you write strictly about Goldens, right?
For the most part. I do touch on some puppy stuff as well. But yeah, so if you post in the Golden Retriever group, there are lots of them, there are lots of people in them, lots of opinions in them. If you say, hey, what's the best vacuum to pick up the Golden Retriever here? You're going to get a ton of varied opinions, like very strong opinions for like 5 different ways. Yeah. So it can be like really tough to figure out what is actually the best for your Golden. So I figured let's ask people and get hard data and get some real answers. So not just like anecdotes or stories, but some real data on what people actually do, what are the best products, how do people train their dogs and stuff like that. So that if you're a new Golden Retriever owner, or if you're a current Golden Retriever owner, you can figure out, maybe if you have questions about some of the questions that we asked in the survey, like, hey, what did the majority of the people do?
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. Now, is your background an analytical one or data driven?
No, I think I'm just a golden retriever nerd.
Yeah.
My background is a writer, so that's kind of why I started the blog about golden retrievers.
Yeah.
But I like data, I like numbers. So yeah, so I want to put this survey and like get some hard numbers and figure out what is actually the best
That's
stuff for goldens.
yeah, that's so cool.
That is super cool. Yeah.
How many people did you interview for the survey?
So 600 people answered the survey, filled it out.
Awesome.
I partnered with some pretty popular golden retriever mom Instagrams, so they posted about it. We've got an email list, and we sent the email out, and so those people filled it out. So 600 people. We were at like 598, and I started like frantically texting like my friends from high school. I was like, "Hey, I haven't talked to you like 10 years, but I saw on Facebook you have a golden retriever. Can you fill this out?" Like I didn't want to leave at 598. I wanted to
Yeah.
get
Right.
absolutely 600. So
So
I was
you're
like,
also a golden retriever stalker too.
yeah, yes,
I love it because I would have done the same thing. I'm a
oh yeah,
little OCD and I would have been like, there has to be 600.
yes,
So
yeah. And I was
600.
like asking my wife, like, hey, do you know anybody like has this person has a golden retriever, right? Can you reach out to them? Like, fine.
That is awesome. I love
We ended
it.
up 600 on the dot.
That is great.
That's cool.
So tell us about the questions that you asked. And I know there's one in particular that I was really surprised about that we'll talk about.
Cool. Yeah. So it was a mix of training, products, and I think it was mostly training and products. So with training, I don't know if we want to dive right into training, but
That was the one that shocked me.
yeah. So I asked, it wasn't like, do you, or it wasn't how do you train your golden? Because obviously there are so many different like ways to train your dog. But just like, did you crate train your dog? That was something that was interesting. So I'm pulling up the numbers here. 75% of people crate train their puppy, which is interesting because you ask, like, if someone says, "Hey, like, should I crate train my puppy?" Some people will say, "Oh, it's so cruel," and some people will say, "Oh, you have to do it."
Yeah.
I believe that you should. It's safe for the puppy, so they're not going around eating food or eating pills or chewing up wires or swallowing a sock or something.
Yeah.
Because with a puppy, you can't always keep your eyes on them.
Mhm.
Right.
So I think it's pretty important. Create some sort of kind of keeping them in one place while you can't watch them. But 75.7% of people crate train their puppy, and then 24.3 did not. So I was a
And
little
that
surprised.
I was surprised because that number was higher of people that did crate train than I would have expected because I feel like when I come across people, it's not as common.
I think they get caught up in the human side of it. Like, oh, I don't want to be stuck in a crate. But they don't understand it's different for dogs. Dogs see it as their den, their place, their safe place,
And
That's
that you can't leave for 6 to 8 hours and leave them in the crate all d it's more boundary training than it is, I'm leaving my dog in a cage all day because you should never do that.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly.
but that was yeah, I was impressed by that number because it was more than I thought, but the number that surprised me was the people that did not actually do any formal training with their dogs.
Yeah, so I asked, the question was, did you enroll your puppy in a puppy training class? So my vet is actually like a family friend. So I was like, hey, he's like one of my best friend's dads. And I was like, hey, we're getting this puppy. And he's like, all right, the first thing you got to do is take him to a puppy training class. Like it doesn't really matter, like it matters, but you can just go to like the local pet store, because it's not only about the training, it's about like the socialization, like getting them playing with other puppies, getting them used to like going places with you. And it's also like safe because most of these puppy training places, they require your dog to be vaccinated.
Mhm.
So it's not like you're not taking your dog to the random dog park where
Yeah.
who knows if the dogs are vaccinated. You're going to a place with a professional trainer, and they are making sure that these puppies are also vaccinated. So just for the socialization alone, it's important. But then
Yeah.
also like for dog parent support, if you're like, hey, this is happening, what do I do? You won't stop biting, you won't stop peeing. And then also the training aspect as well. Just like, this
Yeah.
is what you're going to expect, and this is what you need to do, and how to raise your puppy. And that
yeah,
was lower than what I thought too.
I think it's amazing talking about the the human support side of it, you have a dog that does something, it does a thing, whatever that thing is. And you're like, man, I'm probably the only person in the world that experiences this. And then you meet everybody else. Oh no, my dog does it too. And it just makes you feel better. Like, oh, okay, I'm not screwing up too bad.
Yeah.
So
And in saying that, we've done some dog events. We have terriers, and when when we're around like lab and golden people, they think our dogs are nuts. When we're around terrier people, our dogs are normal. And so that was very interesting for us too, just in, us socializing with other dog parents was, man, I can't tell you the times that, we were around people that were not terrier people and they thought Finley was just nuts and crazy. And then you get around these terrier people and you're like, oh, he's normal.
Yeah, exactly. That's like such a comforting thing to be like, all right, I'm not crazy. This is good.
Yeah.
This is normal.
Yeah.
So, aside from the puppy training classes, then you also asked about other training.
Yeah. So, I don't know if we said the numbers, but
Oh,
52% of people enroll their puppy in a puppy training class. So that was that number. But also, so I asked how old your puppy is. So it was kind of broken down to like if your puppy is less than a year old, I think it was 1 to 5, 5 to 9, and then 10 plus. But if you look at the people who have puppies that are less than a year old, since this was done in 2021, if your puppy is less than a year old, they pretty much only know COVID times.
yeah.
So actually, the percentage of golden retriever puppy owners who enrolled their puppy in a puppy training class was down 16% last year. So that was an interesting thing to note. I'm kind of surprised it wasn't down more, considering all these
Yeah.
lots of things. And the dog's licking my toes here. Um, yeah, I was kind of surprised that it wasn't down more. But yeah, before COVID, it was like in the mid 50s, and then after COVID, it was like the high 40s.
Mhm.
So that went down. That was really interesting. Another interesting part was puppy. I asked if puppy training class was helpful. So like, not only did you do it, but also was it helpful? And 89.2% of the people said it was helpful. So those 48% of people who aren't doing it, they're missing out.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's not just training, it's socialization and support and all that stuff. So yeah, 89% of people thought that was helpful. I asked if you've ever hired a dog trainer. So not including a puppy training course. Obviously, it's more expensive. It kind of, it was obviously understandably lower. It kind of takes a lot of effort to go out and hire a dog trainer.
Sorry. I may need to.
we can cut here if you want to go deal
Yeah.
with that.
Let me go grab her.
Yeah, let her run and grab that. Sorry about that.
No, no.
Otherwise, it'll be the whole video of her barking.
I think this is par for the course for a dog training podcast, right?
Yeah, it is. She's kind of become the third person in our video. You never see her, but you hear her in the background. It's so funny. But we figure, hey, look, if you're tuning into a dog nerd show, if you don't hear a dog, you're kind of like, okay, well,
that's right.
You have to be on with us.
Hey.
Yeah, there she is.
Critters.
All right.
Sorry about that. Hold on just.
Yeah, I got her.
Okay, so sorry. If I didn't grab her and there's a squirrel or a bird, it's going to be constant. So
that is quite all right. So we just dive right back in here?
Yes, please.
Cool. Yeah. So in addition to asking about, did you ever do a puppy training class? We asked if you ever hired a dog trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And 28.8% of people did hire a dog trainer. So I'm kind of in the middle. I didn't think that was too high or too low. What did you all think? Does that surprise you? 28.8% did hire a dog trainer?
That seems kind of higher than I thought it would be.
So
actually.
Is this like a personal one-on-one trainer?
Yes. Yeah. So not including puppy training class. Did you hire a dog trainer?
Yeah. So I think that I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I think that's probably about right,
Mm-hmm.
because that's different than like a group training class.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think 28% is pretty high, actually.
Yeah.
It's promising. I like that idea,
Mm-hmm. I agree. And then again, also with that, I asked, like, was it helpful? And 94.6 people, 94.6% of people said it was helpful.
That's awesome.
Um,
Wow.
and then also I asked if you've ever purchased an online dog training course. That was lower. 8.3% of people said yes. But actually, if you look at just the people who've only had their dog during COVID times, I think it was like 3 times as high as that.
Mhm.
So,
That makes sense.
so yeah, so obviously things are going online. It's more culturally acceptable to buy online training courses.
Yeah.
So not surprising that it went up, but when he asked if that was helpful, 91.5% of people said it was helpful.
That's
So
interesting. I think it would be just personally, I gained so much from being in person, and that was another thing that you made me think about when we were in our like our it wasn't the puppy class, it was like the intro to obedience class with Finley and the really great trainer, and all kinds of dogs in the class, and were doing sit, and Finley had sat like 3 to 5 times, and but we were doing it over and over, and he just stopped doing it, and she said, "He's a terrier. He's very smart, and he's bred to be an independent thinker. He did it for you. He's done. Don't don't make him do it anymore. Just when we get to the next one, we'll pick back up." But, she's like, "He's not gonna be like a lab or a golden and do it every time to please you." And
mhm,
that was so helpful
yeah.
for us to understand, because he was our first border terrier. And so it was really helpful for us to understand, oh, that's how he's wired. He's an independent thinker.
So I'd be interested in seeing how that number goes up over the years. Like if you did that same survey, say 5, maybe even 10 years from now, I bet that number goes up because just like everything else people are doing, they're going to the internet, right? So hey, I bet there's a dog training class on YouTube or whatever, or I can purchase one. That's a very interesting number. I think it would be a fun one to watch, right? To go,
Mhm,
okay, as the millennials get older and the Gen Y gets older, and they get a dog, are they going to, go to a dog training class, or are they going to go, oh, I'm going to hit this button on the computer and have somebody, do a Zoom class with me or whatever. So that's
yeah.
very interesting. That's a very interesting
But
number.
they may also want the private trainer to come to them, and do so that number might go
Yeah.
up
Uber
too.
Eats, like an Uber Eats thing,
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
yeah.
that'll be
I
Wow.
mean,
interesting.
Very
yeah, I
cool.
think just the biggest thing was that like 89% was for the puppy classes. 89% of those people found it helpful. In the 90s, mid 90s for the other two. So just dog training helps.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like no matter like how you do it, if you do it, it sounds like you'll be thankful if you do
Yeah.
it.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
you really have to. And I think learning from a professional is it's just so important, because there's just so much you don't know about, just canine behavior that you can learn. So, and with Goldens being very big and strong dogs, you want that number to be high, because I've met a couple of unruly Goldens before, and we had a friend whose dog may have knocked some people down with being over exuberant.
Just
So
yeah, but
Mhm.
it wasn't anything malice. It was
no,
just,
it was
hey, you're
excitement.
here. I'm
Yeah.
happy to see you, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And and it's not also not just Goldens, especially like the training stuff.
Yeah.
Like, like your terriers, like they're terriers. Like they're smart, independent thinkers, and you're gonna need to get a hold on them.
Oh,
Yeah.
you better believe it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. No matter what size dog, no matter what breed of dog, they all need basic, manners and training, because you want to keep your dog safe too,
Mhm.
and keep other people around you safe. So, yeah.
So what was the most interesting of all your questions? What was the most interesting one that you did that you were like, wow, I wasn't expecting that answer?
So I'm not gonna lie, most of the questions were what I thought they were. I've spent so much time in these golden retriever Facebook groups and people emailing me stuff, and just have a pretty like good pulse on what people are thinking. But one thing that was pretty funny, actually, well, sorry, this did surprise me, was treats. I thought that there would be a standout winner in treats. The most popular answer was in all caps, anything. So just, and maybe this is a golden retriever thing or what, but some of these dogs, they don't care what it is. They're just happy to eat it. Like, if
Yeah.
it's in your hand, they'll take it. If it's on the
Exactly.
floor, they'll take it. They're
Yeah.
just not very picky, especially Goldens. They love food. They'll eat anything.
So
Yeah.
will they eat, like, if you're chopping broccoli, will they eat a piece if you give it to them?
Some people, yeah, like a lot of people said anything.
Because
For
our
me,
dogs totally will. So I didn't know if
yeah,
it was, carried over to the Goldens too.
yep, yes, no, Goldens are not picky. They love all, even if it's not food, even if it's just like a thing on the ground. He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Tennis
gonna
shoe.
eat it.
Here's a tennis shoe. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, grass, sticks, anything. He's like, yeah,
And
I'll eat
that's
it. I love
that's
it.
where you have to be careful, right? Because, with them having such large mouths and throats, they can swallow rocks and things that they
Hmm.
shouldn't. So that's definitely something that people with larger dogs have to consider. And that's where the training comes in, the drop it command or
Yes.
leave it or
Yep. Yep. And also for the puppies, that's where the crate training comes in too.
yeah.
Hmm. Absolutely.
But then another thing that people said as far as favorite treats, and these were the puppy owners, they said my fingers. Uh, so the little puppies are haven't have quite learned that food or the fingers aren't food yet. So they're eating everything, biting hands, biting fingers. So I thought that was pretty funny. That was not
Yeah.
something that I expected.
Yeah.
Another thing that was interesting is I asked, how many dogs do you currently have? How many dogs do you all have?
We have two.
You have two?
Mhm.
Cool. Yeah. So 68% of people had one dog, 23.2% had two dogs, 5% had three dogs, and then 1.8% had four dogs.
Wow.
And then 1.2% had five or more.
Yeah, that
Now,
was interesting to me. I was like, whoa.
now, of those dogs, were they other Goldens, or were they had another dog, or
Oh,
did it get that deep?
okay. So then I asked how many golden. Who I did this breakdown. So I asked how many golden retrievers do you have right now? 86% of people had one. 10% of people had two, and then it dropped down to like 1%, down to 0.07%. Some 0.07% had five or more.
Five
Uh,
Goldens.
so
Wow.
I think that's like four people had five or more Goldens.
I wonder if they're
It-
breeders.
Well, they probably
That's
also
what I
had
was
100
assuming.
acres. You know?
Mhm. I was assuming, yeah. And then I know I think I crunched the numbers here somewhere. Um, 31.6% of people have more than one dog, and 57% of those people have a golden plus another breed.
Mm,
That's interesting.
So yeah, that was a little surprising to me.
yeah.
I know a lot of people have emailed me and said, "Oh, I've got a golden in a lab," or a lot of people have goldens and small dogs
Yeah.
as well, which
I
is
was
kind of
wondering,
surprising.
that was going through my head because, having multiple big dogs is a lot of, it's a lot of money too, for
Yeah.
feeding and, veterinary bill, there are things that people don't think about,
Mhm.
when you get a dog, but, food alone, pricey.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know you did ask about food as well.
Hmm. Yeah. Purina Pro Plan was the most popular food, and then Royal Canin after that, and then after that, I think it was Hill's Science Diet.
Okay.
So those are the top three. I did kind of want to put in a little disclaimer there. It's not what's necessarily best for your dog. Obviously talk to your vet about that. Like, if you've got a puppy, they're going to have certain needs. If you have a senior dog, they're going to have certain needs. But I've seen a lot of people say, "What food do you feed your dog?" So if you ever ask that question, just kind of without any other stipulations, there's the data.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
that's a whole uh, controversial thing in and of itself too, because you've got the raw people, we've started home cooking for Finley based on his medical issues, Riley's become finicky, but
Yeah.
it's and there's just like the treats, there's so much on the market, like
yeah.
I'm surprised you even got a consensus, with some of that because there's just so much.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's Pro Plan being that high. I bet Perino's beside themselves excited about that. I mean, that's a big number, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty significant too. I was kind of
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously ask your vet. But some people, if you're wanting to know what is the most popular, there it is.
Yeah.
And raw was four. Raw was the fourth after Hill Science Diet.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
It's interesting. It's that high.
Yeah.
Be honest with you. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. And then there obviously there's a ton of brands. So sometimes I asked, out of I think like 570 or 580 people answered that question. So there was obviously there's a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah, Buffalo in there and Origin and all these other brands. And actually I linked like the kind of the raw data in the survey as well, or like in the post about the survey. So if anyone was like, oh, like you didn't mention this brand, like you can go look at the data and you can filter and sort and crunch all those numbers and see what you want. But I just presented like the top 5. Hey, these are the most popular. Talk to your vet,
Yeah.
and that's it. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
pretend like I'm a vet or pretend like I'm a scientist or a doctor or anything. These are just the numbers.
That's interesting. I wonder if any of the pet food companies have seen your data, because I'm sure they would be interested in it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. No one's reached out to me yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody from Purina or Rural Canaan.
So if you're with Purina or Rural Canaan, please, reach out. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got all the data.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
R&D right there.
Yep.
Another thing was golden retrievers and cats. 25% of people have a golden retriever and a cat. I thought that was kind of high. I just thought it was interesting. But I was on another podcast last week, and I think she has a few cats, and she said it was not high. She's like, oh, I'm not surprised at all. And she's like, golden cats are great, goldens are great. Then
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really that surprised, because Goldens are just such, affable dogs, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, cats, I wonder how much interaction too out of that 25% cats and dogs are interacting with each other, Doesn't mean they like each other. They say, hey, we got a cat and a
It
dog.
always depends with cats, right? They
But
either
if they don't like each other, I can guarantee you almost 90%, I'm throwing my numbers out there now, which are not scientific people, but I bet 90% of them are because of the cat. Because I've never met a golden that's ever met a stranger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And a
Absolutely.
cat's gonna rule the roost with that.
Yeah,
It's gonna make that.
I would assume as well.
Yeah.
This is fun, was I asked what embarrassing nicknames you call your golden retriever.
That was funny.
It was good. So there are 2 categories: sweet nicknames and bathroom humor nicknames. So the sweet, some of the sweet nicknames were like Baby Bear, Mr. Snugglesworth was my favorite, Angel Face, and Sweet Baby Angel. And then on the other hand, you got the potty people, which was some examples were Sneaky Butt, Poopy Pants, Fluff Butt, Monkey Butt, Farty Boy, and Marty McFarty.
So now, so everybody out there wants to know, those would have been mine, and then the angel face ones would have been hers. Yeah.
Mr. Snugglesworth would have been you.
This dog here is named Riley, but she rarely gets called that. Here lately, I've been calling her Fred. Hey Fred. But yeah, she gets the potty nicknames too. So I would have been on that category.
So which one out? Were there more potty names, or were there more sweet names?
Oh, I think there were more potty names. I don't know I can't remember which one. There was just lots of butts here. Here we got Stinky Butt, Fluff Butt, Monkey Butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. Do you ever call your dogs like by their actual name? I know you just kind of hinted that rarely.
We do, but there was a time when I remember saying, like, I wonder if they even know their names anymore, because we call them so many other things.
So if I say Riley to her, she looks and responds. So her nickname is Riley Roo, officially. Riley Roo.
So it's an official nickname, and then she's got the other nickname.
Yes,
yeah,
the unofficial.
But she'll answer to Roo most of the time. But Riley, she'll go, what? She'll, oh, you need me? Okay. But then I'll call her other names, and she kind of responds.
And Finley can't hear anymore, so
yeah,
he does not respond to it. But yeah, no, I think mostly it was like, Finn or Rue or something, but for a while, I remember, I want to say in their midlife, we were, we had all these other names that I was like, God, I wonder if they get confused.
But let me ask you, what's your nickname? What side of that do you fall on?
Oh, I'm definitely the toilet humor. I call him Poopy. It was originally like, so we got him. It was Puppy, so I just called him Puppy. I don't know. You call your baby. I called him Puppy, and then it was like a French Poopy, and then it's just Poopy. All right, now it's just Poop. Come on, Poop Loop. So it's evolved. My wife is definitely on the suite, sh but now she calls him like Tootsie right now, which is like, it was like Tootsie or Tootsie. Sometimes she'll be like, Tootsie, come here, and it's like, he's not going to come. That's not his name.
Not even close to Oliver.
No, the farthest thing from Oliver.
Do you call him Oliver though when you really need to get his attention?
When we're training and like when I want to get him his attention, I'll call him Oliver. I call him, maybe he's 50-50.
Yeah.
50 Oliver.
I mean, it's interesting about the Tootsie thing too, because I started calling him, yes, we are in Georgia, but I have Yankee parents, right, from Buffalo, New York. So, but all of a sudden I started calling him Bubba and then Bubby and then Bubs. And I think it came from baby, it's like, but that was in the last, maybe 5 years. But I was like, I am calling my dog Bubba and Bubby and Bubs. And
I've worn off on her.
yeah, that's probably what it
There
is.
you go.
But it's interesting how then those names evolve too, and how they did for you as well.
Yep, she calls Oliver Bubba and Bubs and Bubby.
Interesting.
Actually, no, Bubby and Bubs, not Bubba as much. Bubby and Bubs.
So when you did your data and you looked at Oliver, did he fall in a certain category? I mean, was he in the majority? Like if you took the majority of all categories, was he in that majority, or did he fit somewhere in between, or in the, am I making sense with that question?
Yeah. He was, I guess he was in the majority. So like the training, like we kind of said, I'm a golden retriever nerd. Like I trained with him a lot. So most of the people did train their dogs. I trained him. We feed him Royal Canin. That was the second most popular one. Right. I asked, where do you shop for your golden retriever? Chewy was the most popular place. We do a mix of Chewy and Amazon, but mostly Chewy. So we're pretty average. We're pretty much right in the middle.
Interesting.
I asked about the most popular vacuums. I don't know about terriers.
Interesting.
Golden retrievers shed a ton.
Yeah.
And vacuums are like a big deal. Like my wife is getting her MBA right now, so I'm doing like 90% of the vacuuming. I'll vacuum like half the house. I'll have to empty it because it'll be full of dog hair.
Right.
So it's a lot of work. But we have a Bissell, and it was the third most popular.
Really?
Yeah. So it was Dyson and then Shark. And then those were two pretty high. They were kind of close. Dyson was winning, and then the Bissell was kind of a little farther behind in the third place. So now I'm thinking I might have to get a Dyson or Shark.
So. Well, I was surprised only because in my knowledge of vacuums, Dysons are very expensive, and I was like, wow, those people are shelling out dough for those vacuums. Did you have any of the robotic vacuums on there?
Yes. So so a lot of people had this was one of those, with a lot of these questions, it was just kind of it wasn't multiple choice, it was like fill in the blank. I didn't want to sway people one way or the other. So it was kind of like a lot of work deciphering the data. But yeah, so it was Dyson, Shark, Bissell, then Roomba. But a lot of people had kind of an upright vacuum, so like a Dyson or Shark and a Roomba. It seemed like the most popular, like 1-2 punch, was the Dyson and the Roomba. So like I guess the Roomba's going all day or every day or a couple times a week, and then you get the upright vacuum there.
So I can speak from experience, and I do this probably too much on this podcast. My in-laws got us a robot vacuum cleaner.
We got the Shark version.
Yeah, we got the Shark version. I love it. So it goes 6 days a week. And but what it doesn't do is it doesn't get on the furniture. So you do have to have, that's why the 1-2 punch probably.
Yep.
But if you're vacuuming 90% of the time, I'm just saying, you might want to look at that.
I appreciate the tips. Yeah, I was looking at the data. I was like, you know what? I should really get one. My
Ask
sister
your
has one.
in-laws for
Yeah.
a
It's
birthday present.
Yeah.
it's incredible because it gets all the dust bunnies up because these guys shed a lot, not like a golden, right? I mean,
Mhm.
there's very few huskies and golden
Mhm.
level, but
Yeah.
these guys shed a lot, and I love it because it's just getting all those dust bunnies under the couch. You know, like you see them, you're like, oh, I gotta get the vacuum out. This thing does it 5 or 6 days a week. We
Mhm.
we give
Nice.
it Sundays off,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, it's great.
And we don't have it doing so we block off like the front part of the house. So the dogs only have the kitchen and the family room as their like main, or they're upstairs working with us. So
Mhm.
the our robot vac just basically does those two rooms.
Gotcha.
But it is awesome because you know, when cleaning, if you're gonna mop your floors, it's
Mhm.
sweeping and vacuuming and
Oh,
mopping,
yeah.
then by the time you're done, you're exhausted.
Yep.
But with that vacuum going all the time, you can just pick up and mop and you're like half of your work is done. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have to say I wasn't like, my parents were like, "What should we get him?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And so my mom was just like, "Well, I'm gonna get this." So he
Smart
loves
move.
it. Yeah.
Smart move, mom. Yeah.
But yeah, he's absolutely right. That is why those people have the combo because you got to
Mhm.
vacuum your furniture with something
Mhm.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. We haven't vacuumed, but we have like a thin layer of just golden fluff, pretty much on like everything in the house. It's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe I should probably start dusting that off and vacuuming it. That's a good idea.
Well,
I'll
it'll be
definitely
back tomorrow. Why waste the time, right?
That's what I'm
Probably
saying.
not even tomorrow. It'll be, you'll be done and then it'll be like 5 hours
Yep.
later. You're like, "Oh,
so
Mhm.
so I had labs, which are like cousins, right? And
Mhm.
and they're water dogs like Goldens, and there he would walk down the hallway and rub beside the hallway, and there was this black streak. Do you guys get that too, or is that just more a lab thing because they've got shorter hair?
So on our couch, so we have this like tan couch, and you can see where Oliver sits.
Yeah,
Um, he likes to roll, like he'll be in the grass, like just like rolling, and then he'll come in, and there's like it's like a three sectional. There's Oliver's seat, there's my wife's seat, and there's my seat. And Oliver's is like just a little dirtier, just like he's got like a brown circle, and we wipe it off. But then like the
yeah.
very next day, he's getting sand on it, and I'll come sit there in the morning and be all sandy, wiping myself off. But he doesn't rub himself on the like on the walls or anything, but there is a spot on his couch that
So
marks
do
it.
they have that oily like the labs do where
A
it
Oily
little bit,
skin.
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, I
they do.
don't notice it as much when I touch a golden as when I do a lab.
yeah.
Maybe it's the
It's the
hair.
hair. I
Yeah,
think. I
the
think it's
fur.
the
Mhm.
hair. You know.
Yeah.
So now I'm curious too. I'm thinking of all these other questions because it's been about a week since I looked at the survey. Did you ask anything about like furniture? Like what
I
kind of
did not.
like I'm thinking
Like
that's
leather couch
yeah,
versus like I know. So I did in the bottom of the survey, in the blog post, there's a little call to action like, hey, let me know in the comments what questions you want to ask because I want to do like an annual survey.
yeah.
So that's a good one. I will put that furniture. I wanted to ask about like dog walking services.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the pandemic is hopefully winding down, people are going to be going back to work. So what do you do with your dog when you're not there?
Especially
Uh,
those that got puppies during the pandemic, because that's what I'm worried about is the separation anxiety that
yeah.
a lot of dogs are going to be going through.
Yeah. Do you have a dog walker? Do you take your dog to doggy daycare? What do you do?
Another good question would be, I can't remember if you asked this, if you travel with your dog and then what you do when you're on
Ooh,
vacation, do
ooh,
you
yes.
someone come to the house? Do you
Yes.
take them somewhere? And then grooming, that was on the list, right? Yeah.
Yes.
'Cause I'm
Um,
curious because our neighbors used to have our neighbors moved, but they had a golden and she always had a mobile grooming service come, and I was like, "That's probably pretty
ooh,
smart for such a big dog."
yeah. Yeah. So grooming. 37% of people groomed them themselves. 24% went to a groomer, and then 37% did both.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that makes sense. Sometimes
Yeah.
you want the professional blowout on that beautiful coat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or you just don't wanna do it yourself because it's Christmas time and you've got too much to do or something, but that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, we do all the stuff ourselves, is teeth, nails, paws, coat, ears, all the fun stuff. But I can definitely see how getting a groomer would be helpful. Just taking care of that beautiful coat and getting a good brush in there, trimming and everything.
Yeah,
Uh,
so for you do-it-yourselfers, I wanna know what type of hair dryer do you use? Because that is important. As a woman, I found several years ago a professional blow dryer that wasn't a break the bank price because 'cause I'm thrifty. And I was like, "Oh my god, this dries my hair so much faster." And then when we just bathed, we don't have to bathe our terriers all that often, and Riley just got her bath last weekend, and I was using my hair dryer, so Michael was using the old, cheapy one, and it was taking forever to dry her. And so I brought down mine when I was done, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, that makes such a difference." So I
Yeah.
would be curious because, those professional dryers that the
mhm.
groomers use, I mean, those things just wick the water away, but who has that in their house, right?
Yeah.
Like that would be interesting to know what hair dryers people use. And my recommendation is get yourself one of those professional ones because it makes a difference.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Ours
drying
is like
time.
this big. It's like it's got a big hose and it's like industrial size
So you
thing.
do have one of the fancy
Yeah,
ones.
and uh, yeah, so it was interesting. It was like we called it the 30-day puppy challenge, where I asked 30 um, or it was like 20 people. It was dog trainers, vets, breeders, about like how to take care of your puppy. And I talked to one. She was a golden retriever owner, and she gave me the tip about. She's like, the biggest thing you can do as a golden retriever owner is get an industrial strength blow dryer. And I got it, and I love it. It's
Uh,
definitely much faster. I think he's happier. We're happier. Everybody's
Yeah.
happier.
So for all the golden parents listening, how long does it take you to dry Oliver with that?
Um, the 10 minutes or so. So we do like
Wow.
a combo. Well, like my wife will be like brushing up the towels and I'll be blow drying him, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes, and he's like pretty dry, and then we'll go run around outside, get
Yeah.
dirty again, and then dry off a little bit again.
You
Uh,
mentioned sand. Are you in Florida?
I am in Florida.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's another nice thing about being in a warm climate too, is you can always let them go air dry a little bit as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then yeah, we'll go run around in the backyard, and then he'll be dry pretty quickly. It's very
That's a
hot.
great tip. 10 minutes. That's
Yeah.
that's well worth whatever you paid for that
10
industrial.
minutes, and like he's almost there. He's not like
Right.
he's still a little wet. So then we'll go get the water off outside and run around, be crazy.
Yeah. And
That's
with a
He always
golden,
has
you could probably
zoomies.
just play fetch for a while and it's it's
He
yeah.
always has zoomies after the shower. I don't know what it is, but
yep.
he's
Yeah.
a psycho.
I think it's a dog thing because they
Yeah.
do the same thing. Like it's like, oh, I hated that experience with ours. I hated that experience, but now I'm not in it anymore, and I'm just gonna run around. Yeah,
Yep.
it's fun.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
interesting.
Mhm.
Oh, cool.
So any other hot topics on the survey?
One thing that I thought was really cool. So to kind of encourage people to fill out the survey, there was like, I don't know, 20, 30 questions. It was a lot. But I offered a $100 gift card to your favorite, um, to your favorite pet store. So the person that won, I did like a random drawing. It was all in like Google Sheets, and I selected somebody random. So I reached out to her and I was like, "Hey, congratulations, you won. What's your favorite pet store?" And then she's like, "Oh, thank you so much. Like, I can't believe I won. Actually, instead of sending me a gift card, can you donate to my local golden retriever shelter?"
Aw.
So I thought that was really cool.
That is
Yeah.
cool.
So I went, sent them $100, and yeah, I was very impressed with her.
Shout out to the winner because that's pretty
Yes,
awesome.
I think that's great.
Now,
yeah,
did you ask how many were rescued and how many were
did. I
That's
did. So let's see here.
because I
I think,
know there
I think
are quite a few golden retriever rescues throughout the United States.
yeah.
Yeah, so 89.9% of people got their golden from a breeder. 5% of people rescued them, and then 4.4% had done both.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so it was interesting. We were fosters for a little bit. We kind of came across a friend who had a golden retriever who needed a new home. Um, that golden did not. She was a single dog. She needed to be in a dog where in a household where she was the only dog.
Yeah.
So it didn't work out with us. So we worked with a rescue, a local rescue, and they said, yeah, we have over 100 people on our wait list right now, and we screen people. I think the lady was being sarcastic, but she was like, it's harder to adopt a golden retriever from our rescue than it is to adopt a baby in the US or something.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool, just like the amount of care and like time and everything that they put into it. But they had a list of 107 people, I think.
And we've heard and I've heard some frustrations from people that, I want to adopt, but they're making it so difficult. And it's kind of you can understand both sides of it. Rescue groups don't want the dog to have to be rehomed, because the more that happens, the more disruptive it is for them, and so on and so forth. So it can be very, very difficult to to adopt. But something we learned actually from the woman that we interviewed with Theo, the golden retriever, because she fosters and does a lot of rescue work. Her advice was get your application in early, before you even
Mm-hmm.
think you want one. And I think in this day and age, people want puppies. People also want I want it now thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be very hard, even just trying to find a reputable breeder, because, a good breeder is not going to be like, oh yeah, I've got 5 puppies here, come today. That's just not how
Oh yeah.
Mother Nature works. These dogs have cycles, they get pregnant,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's definitely a challenge, I think,
Yeah.
for
I
people.
I didn't realize that before we got Oliver, is that it's going to be a while.
Mhm.
So it's not something that you don't go out and get one tomorrow.
No.
Right.
Some of these breeders and rescue groups have like months, at least months,
Yeah.
sometimes years, a year and a half.
And I imagine with golden retrievers being so popular too, it's got to come into play, because they're a popular breed. So I'm sure breeders are like, yeah, sorry, I've got a litter, but they're all spoken for. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's kind of not not to get too much into the weeds here, but that's who you want. You don't want someone who's cranking them out just for the money. Oh, let me get 5 female dogs and one stud dog, and start cranking out puppies without even taking care of them.
yeah,
No.
So
yeah,
it stinks. Like you don't want to wait, but then it's like, oh well, if they're only having a few litters a year and they're taking great care of them, that's the dog you want.
yep.
Yeah.
And that's sort of my passion there is, guys, don't go to a pet store either, because those dogs come from commercial breeders, and they're not the people that are living with them in the home with vetting for medical, and all that's going to save you a lot of money down the road, and dog prices are expensive through breeders. But if you're going to a really good one that's going to certify eyes and hips and all the other things, that's important, because you're going to have a longer life, hopefully, and hopefully less problems. So
Yeah.
that's my soapbox issue right
Yeah.
there.
I agree. We all got on our soapbox there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what's up next for you? What's coming down the road that people can look forward to?
So I recently kind of sort of hired a trainer to talk about more of the nitty gritty stuff. So like so far in Golden Hearts, most popular names for golden retrievers. Like you don't need to be a trainer to talk about the most popular names,
Right.
and just like some other kind of lighter stuff. But I hired a trainer to write about like golden retriever anxiety, and just kind of in like barking and like aggression.
Mhm.
So getting a little bit more into the nitty gritty stuff on the blog. I've kind of sort of covered a lot of the kind of high level stuff. Now let's people are asking me like, hey, my golden retriever won't stop barking, or my golden retriever has terrible separation anxiety. What do I do? So far, I've just been like sending them like, hey, here's my favorite blogger. Go like read her
Yeah.
blogs.
Yeah.
But instead, I hired a trainer and she's writing about stuff. And it's kind of like you talked about with your terriers. Like when the trainer in person was like, yeah, he's a terrier, like he's, don't expect him to do this every single time. He's independent. So this trainer is able to weave in golden retriever specific things as
Nice.
well.
That's
Like for
awesome.
instance, golden retrievers, resource guarding is not uncommon in golden retrievers. They were bred to go get things and like in their mouth. So sometimes they don't want to let those things go.
Right.
And if, that's not as common in other breeds. So if you're just reading like a general blog about dogs or about puppies or whatever, maybe that won't be addressed is that you're like, like your terrier thing, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
absolutely.
so
That's cool. That's great that you've got someone that will be able to give you that perspective because I mean, there really are so many traits inherent in these breeds that are just genetically there that, like you said, you're not going to know if you don't know. So that's
yeah,
very cool.
And
yeah,
what I
yeah, I'm
like
super
about it
excited.
is it's specific to a breed.
Mhm.
And so you become the source where people are like, hey, this is a guy you need to go to. This is his blog you need to go to if you're thinking about,
Yep.
getting a golden, because that's obviously you're passionate about them, and you're bringing the right resources in. And I love that you did the survey. How many people? 600 people did that survey, so that's a pretty good sample size.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. I think if you're out there, folks, and you want to find out about this golden retriever, you need to start following. And make sure you keep that thing on your what is it, saved list, your little
Bookmarks.
start
Yeah.
bookmark
Yeah.
list. Yeah.
So tell everyone where they can find you and on social and online everywhere.
Yeah, so goldenhearts.co. Um, and you can also just search Golden Hearts. We'll be there, the top one or two. And then as soon as you go to goldenhearts.co, the survey is like the first blog post. It's the very first thing you see. So check that out. We're also on Instagram and Facebook, goldenhearts.co, but go to the website. That's kind of where most of our value is. I'm not huge on social media, but and that's where you're going to learn the most. We're hiring this trainer to write good in-depth blog posts so that you can know how to properly raise your golden, and then also comment on the survey, because we will be doing the same thing next year. So if there's a question that you want to know, that you want the masses to answer, let me know in the comments there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody make sure you comment so that he can get, if you thought of things like while we were talking about the blow dryers or whatever, make sure to
Yeah.
comment because I'm sure there were golden owners out there that were like, "Oh yeah, I wonder what people say about this." So,
Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll put all that information down in the description too, so people
yes.
can find you.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. And anyone that comments on our video, we will make sure to, direct them to you. But this has been so interesting and so much fun. I can't wait to see the new training articles. I think that's really important. With any breed, training is just so key, and we saw that with our German short hair pointer interview. Just you know the challenges that you sometimes have, but once you overcome them, you've got some really well behaved dogs that actually listen to you, and that's fantastic. So that'll be cool to have those articles. So,
Yeah.
Jake, thank you so much. And we'll make sure to direct everybody your way. And we really appreciate your time.
Been a
Awesome. Yeah.
pleasure. Been a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Megan Michael. This has been great.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you.
I can get very nerdy when it comes to statistics and surveys. And I think we had some good ideas for future questions for the 2022 Golden Retriever Report.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. I absolutely love statistics, what people think. I was blown away, and yeah, I've got 5,000 other questions I could probably ask him.
Yeah, and I would, even though this was tailored to the Golden Retriever, I would be curious how much of this is similar for all breeds. And maybe he'll do an all breed survey. I don't know that that would fit his blog, but, comment below if any of this stuff that was sort of the majority opinion, if that, fits for you guys as well.
Yeah, I'm sure some people out there that are watching this or listening to this are going, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So,
And as far as vacuums go, I know we've touted our robot vacuum that we don't get sponsored for, but
Yeah.
we would love to, Shark. It was a gift from my parents for Michael's birthday. And now we don't have golden retrievers. We have border terriers. Can you tell? And, but it does a great job of picking up their fur.
Yeah, it does. It's my favorite toy.
So I'd be curious if that works well with golden fur as well. So if you have a golden retriever and you have a robot vacuum, let us know if that works well, because y'all's dogs have a lot longer fur than ours do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think it's a very cool concept that he has. I mean, it's one of the most popular dogs in the world, and I think that the fact that he got people to open up and was able to get that information and compile it all together and put it in one spot. Great job there, Jake. I really enjoyed.
600 golden retriever parents. That's a lot. Yeah. So I don't know that we could get 600 border terrier parents.
I don't even know if there are 600 border
I know.
in America,
Yeah. So, but we hope you guys enjoyed getting really nerdy today with these statistics, but I hope you had fun as well. And comment below if any of this stuff matches up, or if you have any hot tips that maybe we should look into and that Jake and Oliver should look into.
Absolutely. Once again, folks, thanks for tuning in. We look forward to these each and every time, and we look forward to hearing from you.
If you want to reach out to us, make sure to drop us a line at dognerdshow@gmail.com. You can follow us everywhere on social media at dognerdshow. And as Michael said before, we love hearing from you. We love your comments. Shout out to our podcast listeners. We know you. We love you. And those that have left reviews, thank you. All right. Until next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.